check that out. You can literally just do this from the key. No one is inside. One more time. If you're looking for a convertible that's brash, exciting, and well, very American, the 2024 Mustang GT convertible may just be for you. And for this latest generation, S650 generation of the Mustang, Ford has really harkened down on those both points of being a true GT car, having the performance aspect as well as that cruising aspect and a whole bunch of modern looks and features to go along with it. And this 2024 Mustang GT convertible has quite a lot to live up to as being the only four-seater convertible made in the United States as of right now, as the Camaro is now gone and the hardtop coupe of the Challenger is also gone as well to compete with the Mustang Fastback. So this Mustang has a lot of things to please pretty much a wider base of customers than ever before, and I think Ford has done quite a lot here to do just that. Coming in at around $67,000 as tested in this gorgeous vapor blue metallic paint and some really nice performance goodies on this particular Mustang GT convertible. We're going to explore all those aspects of being a Mustang GT. We're going to explore all the aspects that make this Mustang GT a GT on both of those performance and cruising sides, as well as all of the new features that Ford has baked into this 2024 Mustang. Let's go dive in. So what's powering this 2024 Mustang GT convertible? Well, under the hood here we have the iconic 5-liter Coyote V8 engine, though for the 2024 model year, it has been massaged to now get up to 486 horsepower that we have in this particular application. Now, this is due to having the optional valved exhaust system. If you don't go for that exhaust system, which can enable track mode, which really lets this engine breathe and unlocks that 6 extra horsepower, you'll lose the 6 extra horsepower and only have around 480, which is still plenty. Though some other upgrades that Ford has done to this V8 for this new generation is had that dual throttle body design and dual intake design, which is going to help to increase airflow to the engine, and obviously going to give you that more richer, louder sound that we saw on the old GT350 and GT500. So there's a lot of unique learnings they've done here for this generation of Mustang. Now, if you do go for an upgraded dark horse package, these little pieces here will help further feed air into the engine and they'll be a little more open, though they are closed off here. And there is some additional cooling to help this V8 breathe a little bit better. And since we do have the performance package, which is nearly $5,000 on this particular Mustang, we do get some additional chassis bracing throughout under the hood and under the skin of this Mustang as well. And of course, this is all paired to a 10-speed automatic gearbox. In this particular application, though, you can still get a 6-speed manual if you do choose to, but remember, this is not the Tremec manual that you will get in the Dark Horse. This is the Getrag unit. 0 to 60 times, we should see around the 3.9 to 4.2, 4.3 seconds, depending on your traction situations. And MPG, well, it's not going to be super the best, as it is a big, thunderous, roaring V8. I've been seeing around 19, 18, 20 miles per gallon on average, though. If you do really push this a little bit in a more economical sense on the highway, you could see a little bit over 20 mpg, which isn't too bad for so much performance you're getting in this vehicle. Visually, the 2024 Mustang lineup has gone a little bit more boxier, aggressive, and muscular than before, as we have seen over the past year or so. And this GT variant is still a fantastic looking vehicle, especially in this optional Vapor Blue paint finish. Now, on this particular one, we have a nice black colored hood extractor vent over here, as well as a whole bunch of dark trim around our grille and around our side vents. This one is also getting a lower splitter area, which is thankfully actually made out of plastic, so if you do scrape it up a little bit, it's easier and cheaper to replace than a painted part. We have a lot of opening over here for the grille to let cooling into the engine, as well as to aid that new dual intake air system for the engine. Really love the headlight design as well on this new generation Mustang. It kind of mimics what's happening on the Mach-E's, which is a good thing to kind of keep it within that Mustang family name. So we have those tri-beam LED headlight daytime running lights above, which have a unique different patterns that can do, especially when you're turning. And we also have our 3 main LED beams as well, which are really bright at night and also offer great visibility, though no kind of fog lights over here, as all of that is focused on cooling for all these different intercoolers and coolers for around the vehicle. Now, as part of this near $5,000 performance package, we are getting some really nice rubber around here. Pirelli P0 rubber wrapped around these exclusive 19-inch wheels that you can get with this performance package. Though what's even better is behind this is these absolutely fantastic Brembo brakes that you're getting as part of this performance package. I believe there's almost 6 piston calipers up front here, so you have really incredible stopping power. And I would say the staggered tire setup also works well for the Mustangs. We have two 5540 R19s up front and two 7540 R19s out back, which is really going to help put the power to the ground. And hiding behind this, we also have the optional magnetic ride adaptive dampers to give you a variety of different damping stiffnesses in different drive modes. And we also are getting an LSD out back to better put that traction to the floor and to allow for some little fun, especially paired with that new electronic drift stick that this particular Mustang also is optioned with. Now, of course, the entire body of the Mustang has been done for the 2024 model year, and it still looks pretty sharp with these really cool, unique 3D style tail lamps over here. Of course, they do that nice sequential sequence when you have your turn indicators on. And then, of course, the nice, sleek GT badge over here. We also have a little performance etched into the GT badge, which is a nice touch, as long with the 5.0 badge on the side to indicate that we have that V8 engine under the hood. Now, of course, as you can see over here, we have a cloth soft top, and this is actually one big downside of this convertible Mustang. Even though it's nice that you can put the top down, it's not the most advanced system. You pretty much have to be at a complete stop to even operate this convertible top, while a lot of other competitors can do it up to almost 20 or over miles per hour. And you still have to manually lock it in with your hand. And in addition to that, the button doesn't have the most advanced features as well. If you're closing all the way, you still have to manually put up all 4 windows, and the rear 2 windows, which are conjoined with one switch, are not power operated together or automatically whatsoever. It's a holding manual style situation, even though those front 2 main windows are auto up and down. Those are some things I'd like to see modernized for this 2024 Mustang convertible, especially for this alleged new generation, even though it's a heavy refresh of the S650 platform. Another part of that would be this little antenna back here. It is 2024 Ford. We can definitely integrate this in a better way. We even have a little bubble up here, probably for the car's connectivity systems. I'm sure this could have been integrated as well into that as well. And how is storage space with the top down in this Mustang GT convertible? Well, since the top isn't super complicated, it actually doesn't really eat too much into your cargo space. There's no tray you kind of have to put down to cover it. So it does go pretty far back though. The height is definitely limited. You can definitely fit, I would say, one smaller side set of golf clubs horizontally there, but putting some bigger suitcases in may get a little bit challenging as it kind of decreases in height as going back towards the end of this trunk. Otherwise, I think the opening's pretty wide, which is a good note there. And again, it's nice that you don't have to worry about putting a tray up and down when you're putting this top up and down as well. Okay guys, hopping inside the Mustang, we do have the top down, and when you do approach the vehicle, it will do a little light up dance for you. As you can see, the taillights and headlights will kind of do their sequential turns, and we do have keyless access on the Mustang, which has been a little finicky this week. Sometimes it takes a little bit getting used to. You can lock it there. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but once it does work, you'd open up these pretty wide doors, and of course that reveals a really cool Mustang side sill plate that does illuminate in the color of your chosen interior ambient lighting at night. Really love that touch there. On the door panels themselves, we have a enhanced materials for this S650 platform. If you haven't been in one, definitely go check it out. But we have this nice soft touch leather on the interior of the door panel, though up here is a soft touch plastic. It'd be nice if they kind of extended the leather up there. Nice chrome trim here, a little bit of storage on the side, as well as this kind of faux carbon fiber trim that blends into our speakers for our Bang & Olufsen speaker system, which is honestly very, very impressive. Little Mustang Easter egg over here on the side. And then we come over to these seats. Now these actually are, I believe, the upgraded seats, and they have this kind of nice combo of this white and dark black leather finish. So they are manual adjustment in some areas, and the seat quality themselves just doesn't feel super premium for this near $67,000 price point. Though we do have power lower adjustment and power lumbar on the driver's side, though there is no lumbar on the passenger seats. Now, getting into the rear seats is honestly quite a difficult task. You have to hop over there, and then that reveals the very little amount of rear legroom that these passengers are going to get. So you're going to have to, as a driver or passenger, definitely put these seats very far forward to hop back there. I will attempt to hop back there for you guys just to show you how tiny it truly is, but honestly, it's really meant for kids at the end of the day. I can't really sit behind myself how I was sitting. I'd have to adjust it a little bit, but as you can see, a little cramped back here. We do have a coat hook here on both of the rear headrests, which is a nice touch, though there really aren't any amenities back here. We have some speakers on the sides, though there is no charging ports, no air vents, no really room for anything, even like an armrest or anything, though the seats themselves are pretty nicely sculpted and comfortable. But if you were able to have enough legroom, I think back here it would be kind of nice. Otherwise, a little bit too cramped for me. At least we get these kind of nice striped seat belts back here as we do get in the front seats. Let's get out of here and hop back up front. And the seat also does not slide forward either. Putting the seat back, and then we can hop inside of this new Mustang's interior. And here we are with this incredible new display technology. Let's start this thing up. We have a nice big red start-stop button here. And it comes to life with this new kind of unique Mustang style chime. It will kind of revert to the old Ford chime every now and then, but this is a really impressive new space for the Mustang. I think it's definitely a big step up over the old S650 Mustangs in this interior. As you can see, we have heated and ventilated seats for both the front passenger and driver, which is a really nice touch here. And we also have this new material quality boost here. So everything's a little bit more solid and better put together than it was before. They have this nice stitching going on the whole center console. It's soft touch, no kind of hard plastics, which is nice. That even extends it down to here. Even up here on the lower portion of the dash, that same nice material. And all the quality generally is pretty solid on here for a Mustang, so I'm impressed they've really increased that, though it's still in areas there's some scratchy, hard, cheap plastics that I really am not too fond of, especially for this price point. We do have automatic headlights, which is a nice touch, very bright LEDs, I do like that, and this new steering wheel, which honestly at first I really wasn't a super big fan of the shape, but in person it's honestly a really great size. Nice grips over here. There's a lot of different elements throughout the steering wheel that you can hold that feel really well. Buttons are very easy to access. We have our drive mode selector right here on the left hand side, all of our other controls here, as well as independent steering adjustments. We have 3 different steering feels we can adjust through. Drive modes are pretty cool, as well as each one will give you this really cool animation as you go through it. So we have normal, sport, track, drag strip, slippery, and a custom mode, which are, I believe, 6 different custom modes you can preview in this setting over here. We'll get to in a second. And we have full Ford Copilot 360 plus, so it's going to give you adaptive cruise control, lane keep assist, all that great stuff. So a lot of features in this Mustang, as well as automatic wipers as well, which has been very helpful today because it has been pouring. Definitely need to talk about the center console area as well. So there's really not much in terms of charging. We do get 2 cup holders over here, which is a nice space. I actually quite like this shifter. It's kind of decorated quite nicely. It feels really nice, not very cheap feeling, which is nice. So this is for the 10-speed automatic in this particular option. We also have a USB-C A port as well as this 12-volt socket, and that's honestly pretty much all of the charging solutions you're getting in this vehicle. There's nothing in the center console other than another 12-volt socket, which thankfully this actually locks if you lock the doors, which is a really nice touch, and you exit the vehicle, so you can keep the top down and have some locked storage in this padded center console area, which is nice. Wireless charger over here, which has a little bit of a Mustang Easter egg underneath the mat, if you can kind of see that there. Nice little motif. This does get a little bit hot, but it does actually charge your phone, so I do like that. Love this little area here for the buttons. Now you may note there's a blank area here, so for these early 2024-ish models, they did not V8s, it did not have auto stop start. They did actually just add that in, so you may see these the dealership lots now with auto stop start to turn that on and off, but this vehicle does not have it at all, actually, these early build cars. Traction control button, a favorite button, we have our hazard switch here, and this is our new Mustang logo, which I'll get to in a second. Thankfully, we still have a physical volume knob, which actually feels quite premium and nice. I do like that. Pressing this button, though, opens up our new My Mustang page. And honestly, this is a really impressive page. This whole screen setup, honestly, has been kind of impressing me over the week. The quality of it's very nice. The screen resolution is very high quality, as well as the processor and infotainment software here is quite nice for this new Sync 4 system. I love how the climate controls are separate right here and they always stay there. Very quick and easy to access things like heated seats, your fan speed, automatic, heated steering wheel, all really easy to touch, and it's angled to the driver, so I actually quite like that. And this track page here is really impressive. Since we have the valved exhaust system in this car, we get quiet, we also get a normal exhaust, sport exhaust, and track mode exhaust, which is technically track use only, but it's very, very loud, as you can hear, and you can actually put any exhaust modes in any of the drive modes, so you can customize it how you want. We also have track apps in this one, so this is going to give you things like an acceleration timer. If you're on a drag strip, you even have drag lights and track race lights. You can kind of do it as well. Braking performance, we have a lap timer as well, and we even can unlock the drift brake, which is this little thing right here. So not only is this your actual electronic e-brake, this isn't actually wired directly to the wheels. This is an electronic unit here, so I can pull it up. That's going to activate our e-brake, foot on the brake, push it down to deactivate it, and when drift brake is enabled, it's in track use only. Flick this up while you're going and you want to go into a turn, and you will literally drift just like if you're pulling an e-brake. Takes a little bit to get used to, but it does work. We also have line lock on this particular vehicle to kind of warm up those rear tires, though it has not been working on this particular model. Wouldn't be surprised if Ford disabled it for our Meteor vehicle that we have right now. Love this auxiliary page here. really, really nice layout here. And you can even increase your information here. So oil PSI, differential temperature, engine temperature, and a lot of fun stuff here, even the G-forces as well. Really like this layout here. And the best part about all of this is you can customize them to be a few different things that you may want to see. And you can change pretty much every single color in this entire infotainment system. So you can change your primary gauge cluster color. So I can make it green, for example, and then make my ambient lighting, which is going to come up on the doors, underneath the floor, and in between some elements of the vehicle, a totally different color as well. So I could have my gauges green, I could make them purple and have it split between purple and orange. So much customizability in this Mustang. Really, really impressive. And that also goes for our gauge clusters themselves. You can have them match your drive mode or just cycle through them with this menu here in any drive mode. So we get them in normal, we can have them in our sport mode, we can also have it in track, as well as a calm screen, which kind of reminds me a little bit of the Maverick, and of course the iconic Fox body design here. And at night they will glow lime green just like the original car. So that's a really cool touch as well. Again, really impressed with this display over here. And of course we have those custom modes as well, so you kind of base 6 different profiles on your drive mode profile and kind of select how you want a whole bunch of different parameters in there. So this one does have the Magnum Rider dampers, for example, as well as traction control, steering, exhaust modes, and your gauge cluster. Now, keep in mind, if you do want to choose a base drive mode, the dampers are tied to the drive mode. So sport can only have sport, normal can only have normal. It doesn't make it super custom. I wish you can control that individually, but you still have that ability to kind of move through all these systems. Otherwise, the infotainment system itself is pretty good. We have built-in navigation, we have a few different app style screens in here, wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto as well. So very, very nice system in here. And I think everything works quite well. We have all those driving assisting systems I just mentioned before. We can kind of control those through the system as well. My Mustang screen that we were just in as well, and a whole bunch of additional settings, especially for this Bang & Olufsen audio system, which honestly really impressed me over the course of this week. Really strong audio quality. It's super loud speakers. We even have a branded speaker right up here on the dash. Like this little Mustang motif over here, and pretty nice interior. I almost forgot to mention that we have a locking glove box as well, with a decent amount of storage. And that's pretty much all of this great features in the interior of this Mustang GT. We do also have paddle shifters to control that 10-speed, almost forgot to mention. And this center console is mildly configurable, so you can really just change what's happening on this middle screen here. No maps, no music information. That's always going to be on your infotainment display. And as you can see, when you do go in some pages, you can have the ability to have this little side panel here that can customize a few different screens, or you can make it go away if you don't want to see it. Even in Apple CarPlay, you can make that go away and expand it to be the whole screen. So honestly, really great stuff on the technology front. Some material qualities, things could be a little bit better, but it's a Mustang at the end of the day. It's not a Porsche or BMW, though it does start to offer those kinds of performance, which we're going to get to now in the driving experience. Okay everyone, welcome to the 2024 Mustang GT convertible, and let's go take this thing out on a drive. It'll pop up the windows. Now we do have the top down because it is a convertible. We have to experience the V8 sound, but this thing has a lot of modes and features to go through before we head off. So of course we do have a fully functional and quite clear reversing camera, which is quite nice, though unfortunately we only have rear parking sensors and no front parking sensors, which is a little bit of a miss, I think, on this car, especially with such a wide hood. Either a front camera or parking sensors would be a nice feature to have on this Mustang GT. That's almost $70,000 as tested. Now we have plenty of drive modes as well, accessed from the steering wheel on the left hand side here. So you can see we have sport here, normal, there's a custom mode, slippery mode, drag strip, track, and of course we have sport as well. And each of them will give you these really cool animations, and if you have the sound enabled, a sound will be kind of play between them, though it's been a little bit glitchy over the past this week, which you can disable, which thankfully we did, because the turn signal actually turned into that sound, which very strange situation, but maybe there's a heat kind of affecting that. Now you also do have this Mustang button over here. When you're not in the screen, it will pop open to this Mustang kind of performance page area over here, and this is where you're going to be able to access your exhaust mode system here. If you do have that enabled, you can go in quiet exhaust, normal, sport, and then track. As you can see, each of those exhaust modes is going to give you a pretty nice and loud sound profile. Especially if you want to keep it quiet, you can have it set to quiet starts as well. Heading off over some bumpy pavement before we head onto road, honestly quite good. Now we're in normal mode right now, which means the MagneRide dampers that this one does have optioned are in their softest setting. And honestly, there's a pretty strong range of stiffness that these dampers can go from sport up to track. Though the one annoying thing is even in your custom modes, you are actually not able to kind of change how those dampers feel unless you kind of change the drive mode. It's a little bit confusing for the custom modes, but once you get used to it, I think you can kind of play around with some of the settings that are adjustable. Now, the fun thing is with this active exhaust that you get on this new Mustang is that even if you're in normal mode, you can enable track exhaust, and that will really open up this V8 to really roar up to red line. And this is one of the amazing things with Ford's Coyote V8 is they've gotten to tune the sound and just the overall general feel of this engine so well that it kind of reminds me a little bit of the old Maserati Grand Cabrio and Gran Turismo's naturally aspirated V8 that was derived from Ferrari. It has this really loud scream to it when you're really on it. Though if you're being a little bit more gentle, it does kind of ease itself up just a bit. We'll pop it out into sport mode here before heading out onto the highway. You can lock it into manual mode or just use the paddle shifters. And as you can hear, it really opens that exhaust up. So how is this 10-speed automatic to use? Now we're in sport mode now. Of course you can use track and drag mode, but you know, rolling through the gears yourself has pretty quick upshifts and downshifts. Though they're so seamless and kind of devoid of any strong kind of feel or jerk back to it that it's a little bit almost too computerized, if I might say. I wish there was a little more aggression tuned into this gearbox. Maybe they could have considered putting in the dual clutch that was in the old GT500 into this Mustang, but alas, it still gets the job done. And of course, you can get the the 6-speed manual if you do choose so as well. Coming up here, we can do a quick little launch to test our 0 to 60 times. This thing is pretty fast. If you get a good surface and good traction off a launch, this thing can see 0 to 60 in around 4 seconds. Some people have seen 3.9, and even in like the 4.2 second range. All is pretty quick and very theatrical with this car. It's a very loud V8 engine under the hood and that variable exhaust system. But now we're up here in the mountain roads. How is it to drive? Well, I'm going to pop back into normal mode just for a second so we can hear ourselves. And this is where it's a little bit of an interesting bag here. Now, Ford has fitted this $5,000 performance package to this particular Mustang GT we have here, which gives you upgraded tires, brakes, strengthened chassis stiffening, you know, a little more aggression and stuff. And it does honestly work right well. You know, at first the Mustang may feel a little squirrely getting into, but once you kind of trust a little bit, you can kind of feel that mechanical grip is actually there. The limited slip differential is kind of keeping you on the road and planted. There's a little bit of some rear wheel kick out that you may experience. It is a Mustang at the end of the day, but it's definitely more toned in and tuned as more of a performance vehicle than ever before. Now, the downside for this convertible is that there is a significant amount of cowl shake going across bumps. As you may just notice right there, the whole body structure is just kind of rattling over these bumps. And I haven't really experienced that in a lot of modern convertibles, especially getting out of some German competitors that are a little bit at a higher price point. You don't really experience that. I don't want to call it unrefinement, but it almost just is that there. I wish for this S650 platform they could have really kind of toned down that body shake and structural movements that we're seeing over bumps in this convertible model to get it to be the same kind of stiffness we're going to see in the fastback. But you still have that performance there, and the bare bones of this chassis are still really solid and put to the ground. Now, with these wider tires and the setup on the Mustang, you may experience a little bit of some kind of unsteadiness and hopping around some corners and if you're on some bumpy roads and pavement. And another interesting point here is the steering. Now, this is probably one of the best steering systems on a Mustang, though unfortunately for the driver, if you're someone that's really valuing a lot of steering feedback and feel, you're not really going to find that here. It's a little bit over boosted and a little bit electronic for my personal taste, though it is still quick and very direct. And as you can see, it kind of helps to kind of steer this Mustang really well around corners, aiding in with the magnetic dampers and this kind of sportier setup we have with this performance package. This is a pretty good handling Mustang for what it is. You have to remember, this is still a GT at the end of the day. It's supposed to be doing both cruising and comfortable nature with that, just letting that V8 roar. I think that's the real magic with that exhaust system here. You can have that GT aspect, having that performance sound and look and feel without really diving into those sportier aspects, but it has that capability now. It does it quite well, just not to the level of a more toned in refinement of some European competitors. Let's head up back this mountain now. We're gonna pop into our sport mode, and I am gonna open some cool performance gauges that you can actually have access on this Mustang called auxiliary gauges, which may look a little bit simple at first, but you can actually unlock them to unveil a whole bunch of really fun auxiliary gauges. And with all the customizable looks and drive modes of this thing, it's honestly a lot of fun stuff. You can also quickly check your Mustang status in your digital cluster over here. And let's open up this car going up the mountain a little bit. So the Mustang definitely can handle, and once you start pushing it is really where that performance aspect to the GT comes alive, especially with this GT performance and handling package. You know, I have to say, if you're going to be wanting a Mustang GT convertible and really just want to be mainly cruising around with it, maybe on the beach, on the shore, or just going out on nice drives all the time, don't opt for this $5,000 package. You're really going to be hampering, I think, a little bit more of that comfort and cruising aspect to this Mustang if you do opt for that package and you're not really looking for that level of performance. Though, if you want that side of this vehicle, you can get it. And it's probably going to be one of the best handling Mustangs you've driven to date. And the best part about this new Mustang is also its customizability. So let's say you're in sport mode, or really whatever mode you're in, and you don't really want all these funky, crazy, digital looking gauges. Well, you can really put it in any gauge theme you want, even in that classic retro looking Fox body style gauge, which at night does glow green just like the original car did. Really cool touch there. I kind of like this new implementation of digital screens and how they're really able to kind of customize vehicles in even some old historical ways. Fiat's been doing this, Volkswagen's now going to start doing this on some newer digital displays, so I'm glad to see Ford is kind of hopping on the bandwagon here as well. But even in sport mode, I can turn on the track display and get this really aggressive tachometer right in front of me. Definitely going to be a little bit more helpful if you do opt for the manual version of this car, but I honestly will just leave it in a normal or sport half the time. I think these are just really nice looking gauges, and since this display is just easy to touch, use, it's pretty quick, you can also change your colors right on the fly. If you don't really like your green, you can change it over to blue or another color and kind of customize all of the gauge clusters and ambient lighting in this car on the fly. Really easy for you, and this is just very BMW-esque in a way, I think, of an iDrive sort of layout, which is not a bad thing. I think Ford's really kind of toned down their graphics and infotainment system to be user-friendly and customizable. And yes, you may not like the giant screens in a Mustang and may miss the analog gauges, but once you start using it in person, I think it actually works quite well. In sport mode, you can hear it downshifts automatically for you when it detects some sportier driving. And when you're definitely on it, that 10-speed offers dual clutch level shift speeds. Even though they may not be super aggressive, it will get moving really fast. Now, 10 speeds, is it enough? I think it's too much. You know, you essentially have almost 3 overdrive gears in this car from 8, 9, and 10. So you're really going to be, when you're shifting yourself, playing in that lower gear range. But since this is a naturally aspirated, high revving V8, you'll be moving through them pretty quickly with the amount of power this thing is putting to the road. So what's best to really sum up this Mustang GT convertible? Well, if you're looking for something that's, you know, super precision, super toned in, really well-built interior, solid chassis experience and everything, you're really not going to be finding that here. That's going to be something you're going to get from like a 911 or a Porsche or BMW or Mercedes style level of product. But if you want that classic cruising GT level experience that you're going to get out of a Mustang with that modern refinement, modern technology, modern looks, and honestly quite impressive chassis tuning and packages that really even enhance that capability even further, that's what this Mustang is going to be for you. And I think we shouldn't even be looking too much to pick it apart, as it is really the only V8 4-seater convertible left made in the American market right now. So it's a special one. It's filling the shoes of essentially 3 iconic previous muscle vehicles into one, and it's doing both sides, I think, pretty well in its own unique way. So that's the best to sum up this Mustang experience. It's still undercutting a lot of other competitors in terms of price, and for features you're getting, I think it's still worth it. As always, thanks you guys for watching this video, and stay tuned for more coming on Allcarnews.